Let's get back to the war in Ukraine. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has asked NATO leaders for more weapons and funds to fight the invasion, saying the country needs billions of dollars every month just to defend itself. Meanwhile, Russian forces have abandoned the outpost of Snake Island in a major victory for Ukraine. Here's the latest from France 24.
Snake Island, back under Ukrainian control, 126 days after it was first attacked. In the early hours of Thursday morning, Russian troops withdrew from the island, located to the southwest of Ukraine. According to Russia, they pulled out of their own free will.
On June 30th, as a gesture of goodwill, the Russian armed forces completed their tasks on Snake Island and withdrew a garrison stationed there.
The island had become a symbol of defiance since its capture, and its loss marks another blow for Russia and Vladimir Putin. It is also a strategic target, sitting aside shipping lanes near Ukraine's port of Odessa.
Let's go to Inna Sovsun, a member of Ukraine's parliament, joining us live from Kiev. Thanks for joining us again. Inna, first up, it seems unlikely that Russia would abandon such a strategic island of its own volition.
Definitely. They're definitely lying and trying to play down what has actually happened. But what has happened, indeed, is the Ukrainian army did kick them out of the island. And that was a big win for us, both strategically, because having control over this small island is critically important for ensuring defense of the coast of the Ukrainian side, but also on the symbolic level. Because I don't know if the Australian audience knows about that, but the very first day of the war, there was a big event when a Russian ship came around the Snake Island, and the Ukrainian defenders of the island were asked to surrender. And instead of surrendering against the overwhelming forces of the Russians, they said, Russian ship, go to hell. Well, they did say it a bit more rudely, but I would not quote directly what they said. And this phrase became the symbol of the whole resistance altogether. So you can see people wearing T-shirts with this quote. You can see people quoting this everywhere, and this became extremely important on a symbolic level to all of us. So now regaining control, or rather neutralizing Russia's from the island, is definitely a big win. Again, strategically, but then also symbolically for us.
Yes, as you say, symbolically, and yes, we did show that footage and that recording in the first day or two of the war. They effectively told the Russians to F off, and that's exactly what the Russians have now done from Snake Island. So that's a hugely uplifting victory for Ukrainian people. I want to get your perspective too on what's happened with NATO. The summit this week in Madrid, of course, formally inviting now Finland and Sweden to join NATO. So NATO is strengthened. That's got to be bad news for Vladimir Putin. And does that give you increased confidence in Ukraine?
Well, we have dubious feelings about that, because on the one hand, we are happy for our friends from Finland and Sweden for joining NATO. On the other hand, Ukraine has been saying that we want to join NATO for years now, and we do not seem to be welcome. I understand we are in a territorial dispute right now, but truth be told, it took 3 months for Finland and Sweden to join since they actually announced that they want to join. And for us, it's a road of over 10 years now, and we're still not near the joining NATO altogether. But I'll tell you this, Ukrainian people do support the idea of joining NATO. This is the only way forward for us. And there were some positive signals from NATO as well on this meeting, where they said that they would welcome further steps of the Ukrainian side to join NATO. So it's slightly bittersweet. We are, again, happy for Finland and Sweden. We believe that will strengthen the European security altogether. But we also want to recommit ourselves to join in NATO in the future once that would be possible.
Is this something that's non-negotiable? For instance, if you were to be able to push Russia outside your borders, would Ukraine consider declaring that it will not join NATO, or is that a right that you must hang on to, an aspiration that you certainly want to guarantee the future of your country?
That is a very basic security guarantee for us. And there are no other guarantees that will ensure that our children will not have to go back to war with Russia. The course of joining NATO, integration into NATO, is part of our constitution. It's also part of a common logic. I mean, it's just common sense that we have to join NATO. Because I might remind you that in 2014, when Ukraine was officially neutral, in the constitution, it said that we are neutral. That is when Putin attacked us. And we had no way to defend ourselves again against Russian forces. And that's why we have lost over 14,000 people as of January 2022 in this 8-year-old war. So, of course, to NATO, integration to NATO is the only solution for us.
Indeed, indeed. It's just a tragedy it didn't happen earlier. Just briefly, before I let you go, you'd be aware that our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, was at the NATO summit as a NATO partner. He's been in Paris the last couple of days. Do you think it'd be a good thing if he could drop into Kiev in the next 24, 48 hours?
Definitely. We welcome everybody here. It's a sign of support, a sign of solidarity, but also what we know for sure is that when people witness with their own eyes what Russians have done, even around here in Kiev, people don't have to go far east where it's extremely dangerous right now, but even around Kiev, that changes the perspective. That shows the level of atrocities that Russians are enforcing here. And we hope that this will lead to further support of Ukraine by Australia.
We appreciate your time, and I certainly continue to admire your courage. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.